Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to ZXI Haunted IXZ Boys channel. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. And I'm sure all of you know what I am about to say. Make sure you United States of Smash the bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. I would have screamed United States of Smash if it were not for puberty hitting me like a truck, and I would have started squeaking like a dog's chew toy. And no, I am not going to give an example. That is too embarrassing. So, make sure you are nice and relaxed, and you enjoy some good ASMR, as we are about to start the What If. Make sure you have your snacks, headphones, and, like I just said, are nice and comfortable. This What If is about to start. Warning, loud music is about to ensue. I would recommend turning down your volume as we speak. It is not super loud, but if you are wearing headphones, it will not be very comfortable. Just thought I would give a heads up. Intro, you are now allowed to take it away. I'll see you all when the intro is done. Thank you very much, intro. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to What If Deku was a Japan Special Force Group Operative, Part 1. So, I am extremely sorry for not posting in so long. Hopefully these next few uploads make up for it, but the reason is the channel is going to be going through some changes. I don't know if it's exactly confirmed. I am going to be talking with my parents once they get home about whether or not it's confirmed. But right now, that doesn't matter. What matters is giving you guys a good story. So, if you guys enjoy this story, make sure you hit the like button. It really means a lot, and it's free. So, yeah, I don't really want to keep you guys waiting any longer. Let's go ahead and get into the video, shall we? So, where we are going to begin is a few hours before Deku's birth. Inko would burst open the door to Hisashi's room and would begin telling him to wake up. As she would say, "Hisashi, wake up! I'm tired of seeing you sleeping. You do nothing around the house. I have to do everything." As Hisashi would say, "Inko, just let me sleep. Please. I had a long day at work, and I just don't want to hear your BS right now, alright?" As Inko would scoff and would pull the covers off of the bed and would scream at Hisashi to get up. As Hisashi would say, "How many did you have to drink, Inko? You're pregnant. You shouldn't be drinking." As Inko would say, "I'm not drunk. Just get out of bed. Do something." As Hisashi would get out of bed and would push Inko away as he would say, "I'm tired of this, Inko. I'm tired of this. Every day it's the same crap. I go off to work and then I come home and you're blackout drunk. I think to myself, okay, maybe I can get some sleep. And then as soon as I lay down to get some sleep, you wake up and you come telling me to do crap. I'm the one who is allowing you to sleep here. I'm the one who puts a roof and food on the table. And yet you don't want me to get sleep. Every day I get reprimanded because I'm always passing out at work. I can never get any sleep. I'm always having to cook. I'm always having to clean. And I'm always having to clean after you. You don't do anything, Inko. When I first met you, you were beautiful and sweet. You were the woman I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, Inko. And now? How what are you? You've turned into a slob. You've gained weight. And you've constantly drank. Since the day I met you, you never drank anything. You wouldn't even touch grape juice as it was so close to wine. Then all of a sudden, you took one sip of beer when you were out with your friends. And then you turned into an alcoholic. You started gaining weight. And you started coming home drunk. At first, it wasn't that bad. But then, over time, you just started getting madder and madder. I can't handle this anymore, Inko. I can't. I can't handle this anymore, Inko. I want a divorce. As Inko would say, you can't divorce me. I'm your wife. You can't divorce me. I have your child. As Hisashi would say, it doesn't matter anymore, Inko. I'm sure he'll probably just take after you. As Inko would begin walking out, as Inko would grab Hisashi's hand and would say, you can't go anywhere. I'll kill you. As Hisashi would say, get your hand off of me, woman. As he would push her to the ground and would say, I should have never married you. What have you become? As Hisashi would leave the house, and Inko would break down crying. As she would begin breaking plates and vases, she would break everything in the apartment. As she would sit down on the chair and would turn on TV, as her water would break. As she would begin cussing at Deku, who was just trying to be born. She'd be cussing at Deku non-stop on the ride to the hospital and on the way back. She blamed Deku for Hisashi leaving. And over the years, Inko's abuse would only get worse. Until when Deku was 4 years old. The abuse stained from his mother would turn Deku's green hair black. As the abuse was just so much. Every time Deku would go to the doctor, there would be at least 15 bruises. And when Deku was 3, Inko hit him so hard that he lost 3 teeth. So when Deku was 4, Inko would be driving him to the quirk doctor, as she would be almost blackout drunk. Swerving, hitting stop signs. But luckily, no one was there to see it. She would pull up and she would walk in and would sign Deku's papers, as she would sit down and pass out. When she would wake up, the doctor would be in the waiting room trying to wake her up. As she would say, get your hands off of me, you filthy pig. As the doctor would say, it looks like you are awake. You really need to go get another doctor. I can't handle you anymore. As he would bring them in to the quirk examination room and would bring Deku back to do some tests. As he would come back with good news. As he would give Inko a rundown of the quirks. As the quirk doctor would begin explaining the first quirk. As he would say that the first quirk's name was split reaction. As he would give Inko a rundown on how it works. As he would say, split reaction basically works as almost a time buffer. He is able to react things almost 1,000 times faster than the normal human. AKA, he could almost see a fly batting its wings. That's how fast his mind is able to process things. So, take those dogs barking outside. He would be able to almost hear those barks in slow motion and tell how those vocal cords are moving. And then his second quirk, sixth sense, almost works as pro-hero Spider-Man's quirk does. It allows him to sense incoming danger. And paired with his other quirk, it allows him to almost dodge, or even dodge, bullets as they are being fired. As Inko would be like, those are pitiful quirks. He should have All Might's quirk. As the quirk doctor would say, no ma'am, these are quite incredible quirks. Possibly even better than whatever All Might's quirk is. As she would say, I wish All Might was my son. My son's a disappointment. As she would spit in his face. As the quirk doctor would say, ma'am, you shouldn't spit at your son's face. That could spread diseases and even infect people in this building. So please don't do that. As she would say, I can do whatever I want to my son. You just mind your own business, Doc. Let's go, Deku. As the quirk doctor would look down in disappointment. As before Deku would leave, he would tell Deku, don't worry, son. Your quirk, it can do some amazing things. As Deku, with almost no life in his eyes, would say, no, it can't. As Deku would begin following his mother. As Inko would be unlocking the door to the apartment, Deku would see a kid down, or almost right next door, being abused by his mother too. As Inko would pull Deku inside. That night, Deku would sneak outside to see who the kid was, as he would go over to the door and would look through a window and wouldn't notice the kid in there. As he would begin walking back towards their apartment, Deku would see a kid on the playground swinging. Deku would decide to go down and see who he was. As Deku would get down there and he would see the kid just swinging happily, as Deku would ask the kid who he was. As the kid would say, oh, hi there. I've noticed you a couple times. My name is Zumi. Very sorry about that. Back to the story. As the kid would ask for Deku's name. As Deku would say, I don't really know my full name, but my mom just calls me Deku. As Zumi would say, I think I'm gonna call you Izuku. As Deku would show a smile on his face. As Deku would quickly cover his mouth as he doesn't know what that was. He had never smiled before. And he almost thought of it as a disease. As he would say, I should go. As Zumi would grab Deku's arm and would say, here, let me show you around. I come here every night when my mom's asleep, as she wouldn't let me roam around anyways. But I don't let that get me down. I try and stay as happy as possible. As he would show Deku around the playground and they would begin playing. They would play until the next morning, when Deku would realize that the sun was coming up and that he had to get back to his apartment. As Zumi would say, alright, I'll see you around. I'm gonna head back in maybe an hour or two, because my mom takes a while to wake up. As he would get back to swinging on the swing. Deku would get back inside, and his mother would be waiting for him. As he would say, it's not what you think, Mom. As she would smack Deku across the face, causing Deku to fall onto the ground. As she would begin screaming at Deku about how he shouldn't leave the house, as no disappointments are allowed to see the outside world. As Deku would tell Inko about the next door neighbor's kid, mainly. As Inko would take a almost notice of how Deku mentioned his mom to her, as she would decide to pay them a visit. And right off the bat, Inko and Zumi's mom would just almost immediately become best friends, as they both were drunkies, they both hated men, and they both hated their kids. So, as Inko and Zumi's mom grew closer, so did, Deku and Zumi. And over the next few years, Deku and Zumi would become brothers. They were they couldn't be separated. There you go. I don't know what the word is. I'm not even going to try. I need to get back to the story. And one day, Inko and Zumi's mom would both put in the decision to send their kids off to the military in hopes of their kids being killed in action. And they would send them off. When they would get to the military recruitment camp, the instructor would almost laugh at the fact that 2 kids were in his ranks, as he would ask the general, if this was even legal. As the general would say, no, it wasn't quite legal, but it'd be better to have them there instead of putting them up for adoption. So, the general would almost adopt the 2 kids. And within the next few years, Zumi and Izuku would climb through the ranks of the military. In almost 3 years, by the time Deku and Zumi were 9, Deku would be a staff sergeant, while Zumi would be a sergeant. Just to make it clear, staff sergeant is in a higher rank than sergeant. I know that's a little bit confusing, because you would think that staff sergeant would be lower and sergeant would be higher, but whatever. That's just how military ranks work. And I'm not going to use the Japanese military ranking, as technically Japan doesn't have a military. They have an SDF force, and that's what this What If was originally going to be, was what if Deku was an SDF operative. But Japan, I did learn that Japan does have technically a special force group that they typically use for terrorist threats and to protect high-ranking individuals. So, yeah. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. Back to the what if. So, Deku would have just gotten his promotion, and Zumi would be like, hey man, we should go partying. This is like, we just got ranked up. We need to go. And as Deku would say, no, you go without me, man. You know I've never been a partier. As Zumi would be like, alright, fine, I'll go without you. So, Deku would be sleeping in their cabin when Zumi would come back with 2 9-year-old girls, the same age as him. As Deku would sit up out of his bed, as Zumi would be talking to him about all of their deployments and all that, as Deku would say, really, Zumi? You know we're not allowed to have girls here. You know we're not allowed to have anyone here. As Zumi would say, aw, come on, they're just friends. As Deku would say, yeah, right. I'm sorry, guys, but you guys are gonna have to go, alright? As they would say, aw, can you drive us back to our house? As Deku would say, we're the same age as you. We don't have a car. You're gonna have to walk back. Now go, before someone finds you. Because if someone finds you, you guys are gonna be in big trouble. Possibly even, as Deku would make the cutting the throat gesture, as the girls would run out of the cabin screaming. As Zumi would say, aw, why'd you do that? I was gonna show him our video game collection. As Deku would say, you know that's our private thing. You can't just show random people that. As Zumi would scratch the back of his neck and would say, alright. So, by the time Deku and Zumi were 13, they would have already been through almost 100 deployments. I know that seems like a lot for 2 9-year-olds, but Deku's quirk allows him to be nearly as good as a 9-year-old. His quirk allows him to be as good as a full-grown and fully trained adult Green Beret. And I should probably tell you guys Zumi's quirk. Zumi's quirk is basically strength enhancing. It allows him to enhance his strength to the point where he can break down walls and take bullets. So, that has made Zumi quite cocky and negligent. So that's what kind of turned him into a party animal, because he can take bullets. So, why not live your life? So, yeah. So, Deku and Zumi would be walking back to their cabin as this girl would run up to Izuku and would be like, Hi, I'm Izumi. It's nice to meet you, Izuku, sir. As Deku would be quite surprised and would be wondering who this girl is, as Zumi would kind of chuckle as he would say, Didn't you tell me when we were 9 we weren't supposed to let girls over? As Deku would say, shut up. Who are you exactly, Izumi? And what are you doing here? As Izumi would say, oh, right. As she would salute and would say, I am the new private to your team. As both Deku and Zumi would begin laughing hysterically. And Deku doesn't normally laugh a lot. He's more kept to himself and more professional than, say, Zumi. So this would just make Deku, laugh out loud. As he would say, I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm very sorry. I don't normally do that. You said what now? You do realize we are a part of an elite team. They don't normally allow privates to join us. As Zumi would just keep on laughing. He couldn't stop laughing. As Izumi would show a quite frustrated face, as she would say, that's not a very nice thing to say to your new teammate. As Deku would say, alright, cut the crap. You're not a part of our team. I know it for a matter of fact. As Izumi would grow quite upset, as she would say, I adored you. Now I don't. As Deku would say, stop acting like a 3-year-old. You're in the army. So, tell me why you're lying to me. As Zumi would just keep on laughing. As Deku would smack Zumi and say, you're gonna die of asphyxiation. No, asphyxiation. Whatever, it's the thing where your lungs run out of oxygen and you die. Asphyxiation. Yeah, I think that's how you say it. I'm done. As Zumi would let out one last chuckle, as Deku would raise his hand to slap Zumi, as he would say, okay, I'll stop. As Deku would tell Zumi to stay with Izumi, as he was gonna go ask the general. So Deku would ask the general, and, well, he would tell Deku that she was indeed a part of their team. As the general would tell Deku what her quirk was. As he would tell Deku that her quirk allows her to read the minds of anyone she chooses. As Deku would say, great. If only you could erase the browser history of your brain. Crap. As the general would kind of chuckle as he would say, what, are you hiding something from me, Izuku? As Deku would say, "No, sir. No, sir." As he would say, "Alright then. Make sure you welcome her with open arms, because she comes from a situation kind of like yours, except a little worse. She was, let's just say, used for things kids shouldn't be used for. And it's taken a long time to crack her and get her to show a smile. Kind of like it did for you. So, please, open her with arms. Accept her with open arms." As Deku would say, "Yes, sir." As he would walk back, as he would walk back and would see Zumi and Izumi laughing together, as Deku would remember his time with his mom, and would wonder what happened to her, but he wouldn't let that slow him down. And for the next 2 to 3 years, Deku, Izumi, and Zumi would all grow closer as friends, with at several points Zumi trying to hit on Izumi. So when Deku, Izumi, and Zumi were all 14, they were qualified for their first live arms mission. And this mission was to save a little girl from a villain organization who were making drugs with her blood. As the general would say to them, "You guys don't have to do this. This mission may even be too dangerous for you guys. And the thing is, you won't have any backup. It will just be you guys to retrieve and extract the little girl." As Deku and Izumi would be completely serious, as this mission hit too close to home for those two. As Zumi would be trying to get them to smile, but both of them were entirely serious. As Deku would say, "I know you want to try and keep morale high, but right now, we have a mission to do. And this mission, it's more than just us. This mission right here can put hundreds of thousands of people's lives at stake. If we fail and that girl stays with them, she will not only be abused, but possibly killed for her blood. And then that blood will be used to make cork-canceling bullets, which they can use on the population of all of Japan. And it may also spread to other countries. We can't allow this. So try, for once, to be serious. I know you smile to hide the pain you're in, but right now, this little girl is the key to saving hundreds of people." As Zumi would say, "Alright, but I'm not gonna lose my smile. That's my key trait for the ladies." As he would look at Izumi, as Izumi would stick her tongue out at Zumi, as Izuku would hit both of their shoulders, as they would both go back to being serious. They would arrive at site and would notice 2 guards out front. Deku would grab his AR and put the silencer on. As he would aim down the scopes, he would see one of them talking about his daughter being born recently. As Deku would say, "Well, too bad you work for this organization then." As he would pull the trigger and the man would go down. The other man would attempt to call in reinforcements, but Deku would quickly shoot out the man's knee, and then would shoot a bullet right through the man's eye. Deku, Izumi, and Zumi would then carefully go through the door, checking their corners as they move through the doors. as they would stop to look at the map that they had been given by the general. As Izuku would say, "Alright, we have to go down this corridor, and we should make it to her bedroom. If we fail this," as Zumi would say, yeah, she'll be in danger, and so will thousands of people, yada yada yada, let's just do this. As Deku would say, "Alright then." As they would begin going down the corridor, a man would come around the corner, and without realizing it, Zumi would begin shooting the man without his silencer, as someone would ring the alarm. Deku would hit Zumi in the chest as he would say, "Are you kidding me? Alright, we have to do this quick. Let's move." As they would head towards the door, as villains would be rushing towards them, Deku would tell Izumi to bust open the door, as he would begin opening fire on the men. One man would get past Deku's gunfire, as Deku would pull out his knife and would stab the man in the chin. As Deku would pull out his knife and then would put his gun to the man's chest and would pull the trigger, and would not stop until his gun barrel was through the man's chest. Deku would throw the man's body to the ground as he would pop a man who was running towards him in the head. The man would drop and would begin sliding towards Deku's body, as Deku would stop the man by putting his foot on his head. Izumi would get the door open, and they would retrieve the little girl and would begin extracting her, as a man with a bird mask would block their route. As Deku would tell Izumi and Zumi to get the girl out, he'll handle this man. The man would explain that his name is Overhaul, and that little girl is his property. As Deku would say, that little girl is no one's property. She is her own girl. As Deku would begin opening fire on Overhaul, but Overhaul would create a wall in front of him, as he would shoot a spike towards Deku. Deku would sense it coming and would dodge it, and would pull out his M1911 and would begin shooting at Overhaul. One of the bullets would hit Overhaul's kneecap, as Deku would run towards Overhaul and plunge his knife into Overhaul's eye. As he would pull it out and would head towards the helicopter, Deku would get in the helicopter and they would evac. The girl was safe, as Overhaul would stand up and would scream at the top of his lungs, "Get back here!" But it was too late. They had gotten Eri out of there. As Deku would comfort the little girl, as she didn't know what was going on. She had just woken up. They would get back to base, as General would take Eri to a compound where she would stay till they knew she was safe. As Zumi would be super hyped and would want to party. And he would eventually convince Deku and Izumi to go. They would all go, and a long night of partying would ensue. Except Deku wasn't partying much. He just couldn't stop thinking about the little girl and what she was going through. But Zumi would whatever. He would get Deku, or convince Deku, to dance on the floor. As Deku would begin dancing, as his danger sense would go off, he would look behind him to see a man with a sniper pointed towards Zumi. Deku would quickly push Zumi out of the way as the bullet would ring, as Deku would realize what he had just done. He had just pushed Zumi into the line of the bullet. Deku would quickly rush to try and pull Zumi out of the way, but it would be too late. The bullet would run straight through Zumi's left lung. Zumi would fall to the ground, and Deku would begin comforting Zumi. Deku would quickly pull out a gun he was keeping concealed, as he would rang out a couple shots at the man, as one of them would hit the man in the kneecap as he would fall from the bleachers onto the ground, as security would quickly catch him. Deku would be comforting Zumi, as Zumi would say, "Man, this hurts. I always thought that I might die in action, but never did I think that I was gonna die partying. Man, don't live in depression like you have been. I've lived all my life with a fake smile, and it never made me feel better. Please, live with a real smile for me. Please." As eventually too much blood would fill in his lungs, as he would begin coughing up blood, as he would drown in his own blood, Deku would be left with Zumi in his arms, left to think about how he killed the only real friend he ever had, the person who brought him out of his shell, as he would slowly feel his shell closing on him. As Izumi would get over to them and would fall on her knees and begin crying. The next day, General would tell Deku and Izumi that they have a new mission that they have to report to in 1 week. They will be protecting a group of students at the USJ. And for the next few days, Izumi would try and cheer Deku up, but there was just no life in his eyes anymore. He was completely lifeless. He didn't smile anymore. He didn't chuckle. He didn't laugh. He barely even ate. Izumi would try and try again to cheer him up, but she just couldn't. So then the day of the mission appeared, and Deku was more serious than ever. As Izumi would be trying to cheer him up before the bus arrived, but Deku would tell her, "Enough. We have a mission to do. There's no time for smiles." As Izumi's smile would fade away, as she would begin moving their supplies, such as guns, ammunition, and such, into the USJ, as the bus would arrive. Everyone would be taking note of how big and astonishing the building was, but Deku wouldn't really care for any of that. He had a mission to do, and a mission he would do. As they would get to the end of the staircase, and Deku's danger sense would go off, as he would tell the group to stay back, as he would aim his gun down sights, as he would see villains coming out of a portal, as Eraserhead would rush down, but this bird-like monster would intercept Eraserhead, preventing him from getting to the rest of the villains. Deku would realize what he had to do, as he would begin running down the stairs, as he would tell Izumi to guard the kids with her life. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where I'm going to end this video off. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. And while you're at it, United States of Smash that bell icon. So, till next time, peace out.